My name is James Carter. I'm 34. I live in the same gray shingled house on Maple Street in Concord, New Hampshire that I've lived in since I was 7, and up until about 9 months ago I thought I knew exactly who I was. But people have started remembering me differently. Not little things, not, "Oh, I thought you liked pepperoni," or, "I could have sworn you had hazel eyes." Whole pieces of me are wrong in their heads now. Huge, foundational pieces. And every time it happens, I feel something inside me shift, like a tooth loosening in its socket, and I'm terrified that one day the last person who remembers the real me will forget, and I'll just vanish into whatever version of James Carter they've all agreed on. I need to tell someone before that happens. I need you to remember me the way I actually am, because I'm starting to doubt I'll be able to hold on to it myself much longer. It started small, the way these things always do, so small I laughed it off. Last February I went to my 10-year high school reunion at the old Holiday Inn off Loudon Road. I almost didn't go, crowds make me twitchy, but my best friend Mike practically dragged me there. Mike and I have known each other since we were 11. We built forts in the woods behind my parents' place, got suspended together senior year for setting off firecrackers in the gym, even got matching stupid tattoos on our shoulders the night we turned 21, a tiny UFO because we were obsessed with that stuff back then. He knows me better than anyone. So when I walked up to him at the bar and he looked at me like he was trying to place me, my stomach did a slow flip. "Jimmy Carter," he said finally, grinning too wide. "Holy shit, man. I didn't recognize you without the glasses." I laughed, because it was easier than panicking. "I got LASIK 6 years ago, dude. You were there the day I came home from surgery. You brought me Arby's and watched alien documentaries with me while I was blind as a bat." Mike's smile faltered for half a second. Right. Man, time flies." But later, when we were sitting at a table with a few other guys from our class, he leaned over and said, quiet enough that only I could hear, "You sure you got LASIK? Because I swear I remember you wearing those thick-ass glasses all through college. Like Coke bottle lenses. You used to complain they left dents in your nose." I stared at him. I never wore glasses in college. I got contacts at 16 and switched to LASIK at 28. Mike was the one who drove me to the consultation. I told him that. He just laughed and punched my arm. "Guess I'm getting old. Memory's going to shit." But his eyes didn't laugh with his mouth. That was the first crack. After that, I started noticing it everywhere. My mom called me one Sunday morning in March, voice trembling with excitement. "Jimmy, honey, I found the old photo albums when I was cleaning the attic. There's the cutest picture of you from first grade. You're wearing that little bow tie and suspenders for school picture day. You were so serious, standing there with your violin case. I forgot how early you started lessons." I sat down hard on my couch. "Mom, I never played violin. I played trumpet in 6th grade for like 4 months and hated it. You used to tease me about how I looked like Louis Armstrong when my cheeks puffed out." Silence on the line. Then she laughed, soft and confused. "Oh, sweetheart. You're thinking of your cousin Ethan. No, it was definitely you with the violin. I have the picture right here." She sent it to me 10 minutes later. It's me, standing on the front porch in 1998, gap-toothed smile, bowl haircut, wearing a red bow tie and suspenders, clutching a tiny violin case. I have never seen that picture before in my life. I've gone through every photo album in my mother's house since then. That picture isn't in any of them. It only exists in the file she emailed me. I printed it out and keep it in my wallet now, like evidence that I'm not completely insane. Yet. By April, my coworkers were doing it too. I've worked at H&R Block on North Main Street for 9 years. Same cubicle, same dying ficus. Same Mr. Coffee that tastes like burnt plastic. I'm the quiet guy who wears flannel shirts year-round and always brings in homemade jerky at Christmas. Everyone knows I'm terrified of heights, won't even climb the step ladder to change the AC filter without turning green. So when Sarah from accounting cornered me by the copier one day and said, "Hey, rock climber Jim, You going out to Rumney this weekend? Weather's supposed to be perfect. I looked at her like she'd grown another head. Sarah, I have literally never climbed anything taller than my own roof to clean the gutters, and I almost threw up doing that. She blinked. But you're the one who got me into it. You took me to ᴡᴇʟᴄᴏᴍᴇ 3 years ago for my first time outdoors. You were belaying me on my first lead and kept yelling trust the feet, Sarah, in that ridiculous drill sergeant voice. She even did the voice. Everyone in the office remembers me as the guy who free solos 5.11s on weekends, who has a rack of cams hanging in his cubicle like trophies, who once broke his ankle at Cathedral Ledge and laughed the whole way down in the litter because the morphine hadn't kicked in yet. There are photos on the shared drive, me hanging off some granite face with a grin like a maniac, chalked fingers, harnessed tan lines. I have never seen those crags in person. I'm sweating looking at the pictures, because in every single one I'm smiling down at the camera like I belong 60 feet off the deck with nothing but air beneath me. That version of me looks fearless. I want to vomit every time I see his face, because it's my face, but the eyes are wrong, too bright, too alive. I started keeping a notebook. Every time someone remembers something about me that never happened, I write it down. Date, person, false memory, how it makes me feel. The pages are filling up fast. May 12th, Mom insists I was engaged once to a girl named Claire. Showed me a ring she swears I gave back after the breakup. I've never dated anyone named Claire. May 19th, dentist asks why I stopped wearing the retainer for my underbite. I have never had an underbite. My teeth are naturally straight. June 3rd, ex-girlfriend Lisa, we dated 2019 to 2021. Texts me out of nowhere. Do you still have that scar on your ribs from the motorcycle crash? I used to trace it when we were falling asleep. I have never owned a motorcycle. I have never crashed anything worse than my dad's riding mower into a tree when I was 14. The scar is there now. It showed up overnight, jagged white line along my left ribs, like something clawed me years ago, and I just forgot. I stood in front of the bathroom mirror at 3 a.m. touching it, crying like a kid, because my skin remembers something my mind doesn't. That was the first night I didn't sleep. I just sat on the edge of the bathtub with every light in the house on, staring at that scar, waiting for something else to change. I think something is rewriting me, piece by piece. And the worst part, the part that makes me wake up tasting metal, is that sometimes, when I'm very tired, I almost remember the other versions too. I'll be driving home from work and suddenly I can taste chalk on my fingers and feel the sun burning the back of my neck while I clip draws on some route called thin air, and for one terrifying second it feels real. Then it slips away and I'm just James who's afraid of heights again, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles go white. I don't know how much of me is left. I catch myself in mirrors now and study my face like it belongs to a stranger, searching for the next thing that's going to be different tomorrow. The bow tie kid, the rock climber, the guy with the motorcycle scar, the violin prodigy, the one who was almost married. They're all in there, crowding behind my eyes, waiting for their turn. And every day, another person I love looks at me and sees one of them instead of me. Mike stopped calling. Mom keeps leaving voicemails asking if I'm still practicing violin. Sarah invited the whole office to a slideshow of Jim's best climbs. Next Friday. I don't know how to tell them I'm still here. The real one. The one who's scared shitless and just wants to be left alone in his gray house with his books and his quiet life. I'm writing this down because I need someone, anyone, to remember that version for a little longer. Because I can feel him slipping. And when he's gone, I don't know what will be left staring back at me in the mirror. I stopped going to work in July. I called in sick for 3 days, then used up all my vacation time, then just stopped answering the phone. Sarah left voicemails that got progressively more worried. Jim, people are asking where you are. Did something happen on the crag? Are you hurt? She even used the word crag, like it was normal. Like I'd know what she meant. I unplugged the landline. Turned my cell on airplane mode. Drew every curtain in the house until the rooms felt like a cave. For a week I lived on cereal and tap water, pacing from room to room, touching things to make sure they were still mine. My books, hundreds of them, mostly second-hand sci-fi paperbacks with cracked spines, were the only things that hadn't betrayed me yet. They still had my marginal notes in the margins, my coffee rings on the covers. Solid. Real. But even that started to feel temporary. One morning I opened my copy of Dune, the one I've had since I was 14, the one I read so many times the cover fell off and I taped it back with duct tape, and found a dedication on the title page I didn't write. To James. May your dreams always be of climbing. Love, Claire. June 12, 2017. I dropped the book like it burned me. Claire again. The fiancé who never existed. The handwriting was mine. I recognized the little loop on the Y, the way I crossed my T's too high. I wrote that. But I have zero memory of doing it, and I sure as hell never dated anyone named Claire. I spent the whole day tearing my house apart looking for more evidence of her. I found a pressed flower in a book of Neruda poems. A single blonde hair caught in the bristles of a hairbrush I never use. I've been shaving my head since I was 26 because my hairline started running away. In the attic, wrapped in tissue paper at the bottom of a box marked Xmas Decor, was a tiny velvet ring box. Empty. The ring Mom swears I gave back. I sat on the attic floor surrounded by all this ghost evidence, and cried until my throat was raw. That night I did something I swore I'd never do. I got in my car at 2 a.m. and drove to the cemetery where my dad is buried. Dad died when I was 21, heart attack, sudden, no warning. He's the one person I thought would never get rewritten, because he's been gone 13 years. Dead people can't update their memories, right? Wrong. His headstone still says, Robert Carter, beloved husband and father, 1963 to 2012. But underneath, someone has had new text engraved in the same font. He taught his son to climb before he could walk. I swear that line wasn't there the last time I visited, which was maybe 2 years ago. I would have remembered something that insane. Dad was afraid of ladders. He used to make Mom get on the roof to hang Christmas lights because he got dizzy 3 runs up. I ran my fingers over the letters. They were crisp, new, the granite still pale where the chisel cut. I lost it right there in the moonlight, screaming at a slab of rock like it could explain why my father's grave now credits him with turning me into some kind of mountain goat. When I finally stopped shaking, I noticed fresh flowers in the little metal vase, white roses. There was a card. Thinking of you up there, Jimmy. Be careful on the sharp end. Love always, Claire. Same handwriting as the book. I took the card. I don't know why. Evidence, maybe? Or punishment. I haven't been back to the cemetery since. By August I was barely leaving the house for food. I ordered everything online, paid the extra fee for no-contact delivery, left the bags on the porch until I was sure the driver was gone. My beard grew and patchy. I'd always been clean-shaven. My eyes sank. I looked like the kind of person neighbors called the police about. And still the changes kept coming. One afternoon I found a climbing harness in my hallway closet. Black with faded red webbing, chalk dust ground into every stitch. A little tag sewn inside the waist belt, J. Carter and Sharpet. The letters worn soft from sweat. I've never bought climbing gear in my life. I carried the harness to the kitchen table and stared at it for hours, waiting for the moment when the memory of buying it would slide into place. It never did. But I could almost smell sun-baked granite. I could almost feel the rope burn on my palms. That was the first time I threw up from pure fear. I started sleeping with the lights on. Every light. The electric bill tripled. I also started recording myself. Every night before bed I sat in front of my laptop webcam and talked for as long as my voice held out. I told the camera who I was. James Robert Carter, born March 14, 1991, only child, afraid of heights, allergic to kiwi, favorite movie is The Thing, Carpenter version, first concert was Weezer in 2005, still have the ticket stub in a box under my bed. I described my childhood bedroom, the scar on my knee from when I fell off my bike in 4th grade, the way my mom used to make grilled cheese with tomato soup when I was sick. I made over 40 videos. They're time-stamped. Dated. Undeniable. I watched the oldest one again last week, just to hear my own voice say the words. I have never climbed a rock in my life. In the video, I'm sitting at this exact desk. Same lamp. Same stack of unread mail. But in the background, hanging on the wall behind me, clear as day, is a framed 16 by 20 photo of me standing on some summit, arms spread wide, mountains rolling away forever. The photo isn't there in real life. I paused the video, walked over to that wall, touched the paint. Nothing. Blank. When I played it again, the photo was still there on the screen, smiling back at me. That was the night I started sleeping with a knife under my pillow. Not because I thought someone was breaking in. Because I wasn't sure who would wake up in my skin the next morning. And then, 3 weeks ago, the worst thing yet. I woke up at 3:17 a.m. with the feeling that someone was watching me. The room was bright, every light still blazing, but the air felt thick, like right before a thunderstorm. My mouth tasted like pennies. I sat up slowly. There was a man standing at the foot of my bed. He looked exactly like me. Same height. Same beard, though his was trimmed neat, mine a wild mess. Same gray t-shirt I'd fallen asleep in. But he was wrong. His eyes were too bright, like the rock climber in those photos. He stood like he owned the room, shoulders loose, weight balanced on the balls of his feet the way athletes do. He smiled when he saw me looking. "Hey, Jimmy," he said, voice soft, familiar, mine but not mine. "You look tired, man. Rough couple months?" I couldn't speak. My throat closed like a fist. He tilted his head. "You don't have to fight it anymore. Everyone else already made the switch. Your mom's happier. Mike's got his climbing buddy back. Sarah isn't worried. Even your dad." He laughed quietly. "Well, Dad's proud now." I found my voice. Barely a whisper. "You're not me. Not yet," he said, almost gentle. "But I'm what they need. The version that fits. You've seen the pictures. You've felt the memories trying to settle in. It's easier if you let go." He took one step closer. I scrambled backward until my spine hit the headboard, clutching the knife I'd forgotten was even there. He looked at the blade and smiled wider, sat around the edges. "You think that'll help?" he asked. "It's not like there's 2 of us, James. There's only 1 slot. And they've already voted." Then he was gone. No fade, no shimmer. Just absent. Like a light switching off. I didn't sleep again for 4 days. I've been trying to find anchors. Things that can't be rewritten. I went to the library and dug up my birth announcement from the Concord Monitor. It's still there, March 1991, same parents, same weight, same everything. But in the microfilm, right below my announcement, there's a small article I've never seen before. Local toddler survives 20-foot fall uninjured. With a grainy photo of a little boy in a red jacket being held up by firefighters. The boy is me. The article says I wandered away from a family picnic at White Park, climbed the bandstand roof. With alarming speed and confidence. And fell straight onto concrete. No broken bones. Barely even cried. Firefighter quoted, "Kid's got no fear. Like Spider-Man or something." I was 2.5 years old. I have never seen that article. Never heard that story. Mom has no memory of it when I asked. She just looked confused and said, "You were always careful, honey. Never a daredevil." I made a copy of the article. I keep it in the same wallet with the violin photo. 2 pieces of paper that say I was never the person I thought I was. I don't know how much time I have left. Some mornings I wake up and catch myself reaching for the climbing harness before I remember it isn't mine. Some nights I dream in first person of hanging off granite faces, wind screaming past my ears, and I'm not afraid at all. I'm happy. That's the worst part. The other James, he isn't evil. He's just better. Braver. More interesting. The son my dad would have bragged about. The friend Mike wants back. The man my mom shows off in photo albums. I think I'm the glitch. And glitches get patched. I'm telling you all this because you're the only one left who might still see the original file. If you're listening to this, if you're reading this, please, hold on to the version of me that's talking right now. The one who's scared. The one who never climbed anything higher than a jungle gym and threw up after. The one who's crying while he types this because he doesn't want to disappear. Because I think tomorrow might be the day there's no one left to fight for. I didn't leave the house for 12 days after I saw him standing at the foot of my bed. 12 days of every light burning, of eating saltines straight from the sleeve, of whispering my own name out loud like a prayer so I wouldn't forget how it sounded in my mouth. James Robert Carter. James Robert Carter. James Robert Carter. On the 13th morning I woke up calm. Dangerously calm. The kind of calm that comes right before you step off a ledge and realize you're not afraid anymore. I was lying on the couch, hadn't made it to the bedroom in days, and sunlight was pouring through the gap in the curtains like warm honey. My beard itched. My phone was dead on the coffee table. The knife was still under the pillow I'd dragged downstairs. And for the first time in months I felt good. I stretched, slow and cat-like, and thought, I should go climbing today. The weather's perfect. The thought slid in so smoothly I almost didn't catch it. But I did. I sat up so fast my vision blacked out at the edges. No, I said out loud. My voice cracked like I hadn't used it in weeks. No, no, no. I stumbled to the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror. Same bloodshot eyes. Same hollow cheeks. Same me. But the smile that twitched at the corner of my mouth wasn't mine. I slapped myself hard enough to split my lip. Copper bloomed across my tongue. Stay here, I told the reflection. Stay with me. The smile faded. I didn't trust it. That was the day I decided I had to leave Concord. If I stayed, I was going to lose. The town had already chosen its James. The streets, the people, even the stones in the cemetery, they'd all voted. I could feel the consensus pressing in from every side like atmospheric pressure before a hurricane. I needed neutral ground. Somewhere no one knew either version of me. I packed one bag, laptop, charger, the notebook, the birth announcement copy, the violin photo, the cemetery card from Claire, the knife. I left the climbing harness hanging in the closet like a skin I refused to step into. I drove west with no plan, just away. I made it as far as Burlington, Vermont before the car started making a noise like a dying goose. I pulled into a Jiffy Lube on Shelburne Road and sat in the plastic waiting room chair while a kid who couldn't have been older than 19 poked around under the hood. He came in wiping his hands on a rag, grinning. Mr. Carter! Man, you got lucky. Belt was about to snap. Another 10 miles and you'd have been calling you a tow? I froze. He knew my name. I'd paid cash. Hadn't given ID. Hadn't spoken to anyone but the cashier for 30 seconds. The kid kept talking. Saw your plates, New Hampshire. You still guiding up on Cannon when you're not on the road? Guiding. Another life I never lived. I forced a laugh that tasted like rust. Not as much these days. He nodded like that made perfect sense. Smart. After what happened to your partner last season, yeah? Taking a break is good. I walked out without waiting for the car. Just left the keys on the counter and walked. I walked until the city thinned into trees, until my legs gave out on a trail that climbed gently into the Green Mountains. I found a flat rock overlooking Lake Champlain and sat there until the sun went down and the water turned into hammered metal. I thought this would be far enough. It wasn't. At dusk a woman came hiking down the trail with a golden retriever. She stopped when she saw me, smiled like we were old friends. James? She said, uncertain. James Carter? Holy shit, it is you. I didn't know her. I swear I didn't know her. But she knew me. She told me her name was Megan. Said we'd taken an alpine climbing course together in the Adirondacks in 2019. Said I'd saved her life when she pendulumed into a corner on positive thinking, and I'd held the fall with a hip belay until my hands bled. She had pictures on her phone. Me, sunburned and laughing, arms around her and 2 other people I didn't recognize, all of us holding certificates from some guiding association. My signature at the bottom. She hugged me before I could stop her. I let her because I was too tired to run anymore. That night I slept in a cheap motel off Route 7 and dreamed I was falling. Not scared falling. Joyful. Wind screaming past my ears, body perfectly relaxed, reaching for the next hold that I knew would be there because it always was. I woke up crying again, but quieter this time. Resigned. I drove south instead. I thought if I kept moving, kept putting miles between me and every place that had ever known a name for me, maybe I could outrun the rewrite. I was wrong. Every town had a version. In Saratoga Springs, the barista at Uncommon Grounds called me Professor, and asked when my next lecture on glacial geology was. In Albany, a homeless vet saluted me and thanked me for pulling him out of a crevasse in Alaska in 2014. In a rest stop bathroom outside New Paltz, someone had sharpened on the wall. J. Carter was here, September 14, 23. Trust the feet, trust the hands, trust yourself. I scratched it out with the knife until my fingers bled. By the time I hit the New Jersey Turnpike, I was shaking so hard I could barely keep the car between the lines. I pulled over at the Thomas Edison Service Plaza, stumbled into the Starbucks, ordered a coffee with hands that wouldn't stop trembling. The barista, college kid, nose ring, kind eyes, looked at me for a long second. "Hey," he said softly. "You okay, man?" For one heartbeat the world went still. He saw me. The real me. The terrified, exhausted, unraveling me. I opened my mouth to say yes, to say thank you, to say please remember this version because it's the last one left. And he finished, "You look just like this climber dude who came through last year. Same beard, same eyes." He left me a huge tip and told me to chase my dreams. "You related or something?" The moment broke. I left the coffee on the counter and walked back into the night. I don't remember driving the last stretch. I woke up in my own bed in Concord. Keys still in my pocket. Bag on the floor. 3 days missing. The climbing harness was on my body when I woke up. Buckled neat, chalk still on the loops. I don't know how it got there. I don't know how I got home. But I was smiling in my sleep. I could feel it when I woke up, the ache in my cheeks. There was a new photo on my phone. Taken with the front camera, timestamp 4:17 a.m. the night I must have returned. I'm standing on the roof of my own house in the dark, arms out like I'm about to take flight, city lights glittering below. The look on my face is pure peace. I'm not afraid of heights in the picture. I'm not afraid of anything. I deleted it 17 times. It keeps coming back. Every morning it's the first thing I see when I unlock the phone. I haven't left the house again. I know it's pointless now. The version they all want is almost complete. Sometimes I catch myself humming a song I don't know the words to, fingers tapping rhythms I've never learned. Sometimes I flex my hands and feel phantom calluses. Sometimes I stand at the window and look at the maple tree in the front yard and think, that first branch is only 12 feet up. Easy stem. Crimp on the left, heel hook on the right. And the thought doesn't scare me anymore. It feels like coming home. I'm writing this final part with what's left of me. If you're reading this, if you somehow found this file, this recording, this scratched desperate message in a bottle, please remember that once upon a time there was a James Carter who was afraid of heights. Who never saved anyone. Who never climbed anything more dangerous than the porch steps. Who loved quiet and books and the smell of rain on hot pavement. Who wanted nothing more than to be left alone in his little gray house. Remember that he tried to hold on. Remember that he was kind. Remember that he existed. Because tomorrow morning when the sun comes up, I think he'll be gone for good. And the man who opens his eyes in this bed will smile easy, stretch, reach for the harness like it's the most natural thing in the world. He'll be a good man too. Brave. Strong. Loved by everyone. He just won't be me. If you ever meet him, tell him I said thanks for the memories. Even the ones that never happened. Tell him I'm not angry. I'm just tired. And tell him, please, tell him to be careful on the sharp end. Because even fearless people can fall. I woke up this morning and the knife was gone from under the pillow. The harness was still on the chair where I left it, but the knife, my last stupid talisman, had vanished. The bed didn't even look slept in. Sheets tucked with perfect hospital corners. The kind of corners I have never in my life made. I sat up slowly. My hands didn't shake. That was the first thing I noticed. Second thing, the house smelled like coffee. Fresh. Good coffee. Not the burnt sludge I've been choking down for months. I walked barefoot down the hallway. The floorboards didn't creak the way they always have. They felt solid. Certain of themselves. In the kitchen, the coffee maker was gurgling its last breaths. A note sat on the counter in handwriting that used to be mine but now looks effortless, confident. Gone for a quick morning session at Rumney with Sarah and Mike. Back by noon. There's banana bread in the tin. Love you, man. Jay. He wrote it to me. Like we're roommates. Like he's doing me a favor by letting me borrow the body for a few more hours. I touched the note. The paper was warm. I opened the banana bread tin. It was full. Still faintly steaming. Crumb topping perfect, the way my mom makes it. I have never baked banana bread in my life. I took one bite and almost cried because it tasted like childhood, like Sunday mornings when Dad was still alive and everything was safe. I left the rest on the counter for the birds. I'm sitting at the desk now, recording this final part while I still can. The cursor blinks like it's impatient. Like it knows time's almost up. There's something I haven't told you yet. Something I found last night when I thought I had one more night. I was looking for the knife, searching every drawer, every closet, getting frantic, and I opened the drawer in the hallway table I never opened because it's full of junk. Old batteries, takeout menus, a broken watch. There was an envelope at the bottom. Thick cream paper. My name on the front in handwriting I didn't recognize. Inside was a single photograph and a short letter. The photograph is me, the other me, standing on some knife-edge ridge at sunrise, arms spread, wind whipping the shirt against his body. He's laughing. Behind him the sky is the color of peach flesh. On the back, someone wrote in sharp, "You finally made it, Jimmy. We always knew you would. Everyone." The letter is only 3 lines. You fought longer than most. We're proud of you for that. Let go now. It doesn't hurt. No signature. I slept with the photograph under my pillow instead of the knife. I think that's why the knife is gone. I think that's why the bed was made. I think I said yes in my sleep. I can feel him just under the surface now, like warm water rising. Not pushing. Waiting. Polite, almost. Every time I blink, I lose a little more ground. I just tried to remember the name of my first grade teacher. It was Mrs. Pellerin. I know it was Mrs. Pellerin. But the name that comes now is Mr. Hargrove, and I have this sudden clear image of a tall man with a beard and climbing chalk on his jeans, teaching us how to tie figure-8 knots with clothesline rope on the playground. The memory feels sun-warmed and happy. I am smiling as I type this and I don't want to be. I have maybe minutes. Maybe less. So listen close. If you ever meet the man who lives in this house after today, the one with the easy laugh and the chalk under his fingernails and the stories about near falls that always end with, "But the rock was there when I needed it," tell him something for me. Tell him the quiet James, the scared one, the one who loved books more than people, he's glad it was painless. Tell him he kept the lights on as long as he could. And tell him, when he's 1,000 feet up some big wall with the whole world small beneath him, and the wind singing in the rope, tell him to look down just once. Just once. Because somewhere way down there, in the shadows at the bottom, there's a little gray house on Maple Street. And if he squints, he might see a guy standing on the porch in the dark, arms wrapped around himself, staring up. Wave if you see him. He'll wave back. He always did. I have to go now. The coffee's ready, and the morning is perfect for climbing. Thank you for remembering me. Thank you for listening all the way to the end. The cursor is still blinking. I think it's smiling. Goodbye.